the truffle shuffle.
Oh, come on!
Do the truffle shuffle! Childhood obesity.
Today we're going to be talking about the Goonies 35 years later because I went to see it in the theater last night. Oh, one more thing. Hey, you monkeys, roll the footage! On June 7, 1985, the Steven Spielberg and Richard Donner film The Goonies hit theaters. This is one that I wasn't able to see in theaters as a child, but getting to see it Friday night was a real treat. 35 years later and over a dozen viewings, and this movie still holds up for me. Getting to see the name The Goonies up on the marquee was a really cool experience, especially considering this is the same theater I have been going to my entire life. So what I want to do over the course of the next few minutes is just kind of go over some of the tropes from this movie and see how it's held up after 35 years and through the lens of my perspective of the movie. I did also want to mention that this movie spawned a couple of video games, which I found really cool considering its platform at the time wasn't the best for these kind of games. But now let's spend a couple of seconds meeting our main characters, shall we? There's Mikey, our asthmatic yet adventurous, timid main protagonist for the film, smart beyond his years, part bilingual, the wisecracking best friend, Mouth. Then there's Data, all his wacky inventions, and, of course, his dialogue. And last but not least, Chunk, our portly, adorable little friend. So our young adventurers embark on a treasure hunt, joined by Mikey's older brother, Brand, his cheerleader love interest, Andy, and her quirky, nerdy best friend, Steph. They are trying to avoid our stereotypical archetype 80s villains, the Fratellis. Mama Fratelli, Francis Fratelli, and Jake Fratelli are all after our young adventurers on their quest for One-Eyed Willie's gold as they use their restaurant as the starting point for their adventure. Oh yeah, and they meet their Mongoloid brother Sloth too. Now two more secondary protagonists are Mr. Perkins and his son Troy. Perkins' development company is trying to buy up the houses in Astoria where the Goonies and their families live. And what would an 80s adventure comedy be without a bungling sheriff who does not believe the kid's story when they present it to him?
Yeah, like the time you told me about the 50 Iranian terrorists who took over all the Sizzler steakhouses in the city. Just like that last prank about all those little creatures that multiply when you throw water on them.
So when you add up all these ingredients, what you really had was the recipe for the perfect 80s action adventure comedy with this awesome cast of young actors, experienced actors playing the secondary roles and villains and the parents. It was just a great recipe and it came across so perfect on the big screen still to this day. The jokes hit. It was great.
Do it!
Always take your side, man, right? You always like them better than
That's right.
Well, it could have been a tremor, man.
I'll show you a tremor. Help him, hurry up!
It's always fun to go relive these movies that you saw a long time ago, and you may still watch them occasionally, but to see this in the theater and get to sit there and just get lost and experience that sense of wonderment again. And there was a lot of kids in the theater too, and most of them responded really well to it, and there was a lot of laughs to be had. There was a lot of kind of moments that I wasn't sure that the audience would respond to these days, especially the younger kids with what they've been conditioned to with the sense of entertainment that we have available today. But what would this video be if I didn't talk about the attempted murder scene? That's right, the bike scene. Troy basically could have killed Brand.
Yeah, Walsh. Let us give you a little ride.
Troy Perkins lived up to the stereotypical 80s yuppie douchebag in this movie. His dad was an antagonist to Mikey's family, but Troy straight up tried to murder Brand just because he was jealous that he thought he was after his girlfriend. But I want to jump to the end of the movie where it came down to the fact that Mr. Walsh didn't have to sign because Esmeralda remembered she had Mikey's marble bag, and what did that bag have? The marble bag, of course, contained the jewels that Mikey had taken from One-Eyed Willie's chambers, which would be enough to save the Goondocks. And what a great moment was that. Seeing Mr. Walsh rip up that contract and assuring the Goonies families a happy ending and their homes were saved.
There'll be no more signing today or ever again.
Oh, and as a kid, how about seeing that pirate ship sail out from behind those rocks? The visuals really made this a satisfying ending to the tale for the Goonies. Sloth and Chunk formed a special relationship, but what happened at the end of the movie always vexed me even as a young child and continues to vex me to this day because you know it didn't end like this.
You're gonna live with me now. Yeah, I'm gonna take care of you. Because I love you.
I love you, Chuck.
Why do I have a feeling in real life that played out like a kid who wanted a puppy but didn't want to take care of a puppy, or the puppy killed the kid? I don't know. It's a little dark, but it just always bothered me. All right, that's it. Now, what do? We cue that 80s happy ending. So those are some of my thoughts, takeaways, and otherwise on the Goonies 35 years later. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Now, let's roll those credits, monkeys. Here's where you can find us all across social media at TB2BR on Instagram, the Place to Be Reviews page on Facebook, the official Place to Be Reviews fan page, that's our private group, at the Place to Be RE1, at N80Pete on Twitter, past podcast available on Anchor, iTunes, and Spotify, and now the Place to Be Reviews on Discord. You can also email us if you're old-fashioned, okay boomer, at theplacetobereviews@mail.com, the world's best mail. Thank you very much. Also, on the way out, don't forget to bitch slap that like button. Do me that big solid, would ya? Yeah, I think you can do that. Also, hail the Fandom Menace. Hail to thee, my subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. Help us grow the channel. Hail the Fandom Collective, a group which we are proud members of now. We'll be working with them on a lot of collaborations in the near future. And I'd like to personally thank you all for joining the Place to Be Reviews. That's right, I'm Tepukuian of the Place to Be Reviews right here with all yous. Remember, if I don't see you, have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow.